In today's Community Focus, a flurry of legal action coming from the Attorney General's office as the Trump administration seeks to make some major changes down in D.C. The Attorney General, Peter Neronha, joins me now live. Thanks for being here.
Sure, Kim. Yeah, eliminating the Congress is a major change for sure.
Yes, we've got a lot to talk about for sure in 5 minutes time, so we'll see what we can get to.
Sure.
I want to start here. One of the suits Rhode Island has filed, along with multiple other attorneys general, is against Elon Musk's access to some private information through the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. A judge is expected to rule today in that, but just yesterday she signaled she maybe wasn't inclined to deny him that access. What's your reaction to that?
Well, there are two judges, right? There's one in New York and there's one in Washington. We anticipate that the judge in New York will issue the order that we anticipate. And what this is about is what I alluded to just a moment ago. The president is ignoring our Constitution, effectively sidelining the Congress. So what do I mean? He has stopped spending already authorized by the Congress. That's the case we have here in Rhode Island. Elon Musk is running parts of our government in an agency that Congress hasn't established, and from a position that has not been confirmed by the Senate. Those are some of the basic principles of our government, the tension between the three branches of government on which our democracy depends. And the president is sidelining the Congress. I think that is a very dangerous situation. And it's my hope that Congress can begin to assert itself on both sides of the aisle, because really, he's hurting both states in ways that I can happily elaborate on.
Well, I want to zoom out a little bit, because one of the things that the Trump administration and the president have said over and over again is that they're trying to root out waste and fraud. Isn't protecting how taxpayer money is spent a good thing? Sure,
but give me a dollar that they've rooted out as waste and fraud. You know, give it to me. Tell me what going into these agencies now for weeks, accessing all of our information. What waste, fraud, and abuse have they rooted out? That is a catchphrase for changing our system of government, okay? Allowing people like Elon Musk, who has never been appointed to a position confirmed by the U.S. Senate with this kind of power. It is unprecedented. The Congress has allocated money to the states. That money has been frozen. The president has no authority to do that. That's why we keep winning in court, and that's why we're winning in the courthouse right here in Rhode Island. What he's done is effectively sideline the Congress, and it will be up to the judiciary to enforce its own authority over the president, who thinks apparently through Mr. Musk's voice and perhaps the vice president's that judges don't have to be listened to. So the judiciary has to assert itself, as does the Congress.
Let's talk a little bit more about the lawsuit that's being heard here at federal court in Rhode Island over the funding freeze. It's really put the state and the federal judge who's hearing this case in the national spotlight and in the crosshairs, as you mentioned, of Elon Musk and others. Lots of criticism from the president's allies. There's an in-person hearing on Friday. What's going to happen there? Are you concerned at all about safety at that hearing?
Oh, no, I'm not concerned about safety. When we have to worry about safety when the court is doing what courts do all the time, which is, admittedly, the stakes are different, but this is how courts work. No, I'm not worried about safety. What I expect to happen is that Judge McConnell will issue the preliminary injunction that we've asked for and order the federal government to stop doing, the president to stop doing what he's done, which is to say Congress doesn't matter. Congress has allocated that money to the states, and the states are entitled to it. That's our federal tax money. It doesn't go to Washington so the president can keep it. It goes to Washington so that it can be reallocated out to the states for things like education, healthcare, public works, and beyond, law enforcement to support. I have a Medicaid abuse unit, talk about fraud, waste, and abuse, working on that issue in my office. It's federally funded. If that money were to disappear, we couldn't protect patients from abuse. We couldn't go after Medicaid abuse. So what that case is really about is ensuring that money that Congress has allocated to the states gets there, and the president can't ignore the Constitution and stop it.
One thing that I think has flown a little bit under the radar, because there is a lot going on, as we've alluded to, is this suit regarding funding cuts in the National Institutes of Health. Your office even asked Brown University to sort of lay out the impact that this would have. Can you walk me through sort of the tangible effects this would have here on Rhode Island?
Tremendous. You know, we're talking about changing the reimbursement from the federal government from 55% to 15% for overhead costs. That's tens of millions of dollars that will not effectively eliminate the ability of places like Brown and URI to do the kinds of healthcare and other research they're doing to make Rhode Islanders' lives better. That case is filed in Massachusetts. We got another win there. So across the board, AGs out in front are winning these fights, and we're winning them because the Constitution doesn't allow the president to do what he's doing. You can't just change the rules after Congress has done something. There's process that the Constitution and the laws of the United States requires the president to go through. Hey, look, if the people who supported Donald Trump want an authoritarian government, that's where this is headed. I hear that a lot. Well, we elected the president. He's doing what we elected him to do. I don't think anybody in this country, or at least not most of us, elected him to become an authoritarian figure.
We're going to put a pin in that topic. And before I let you go, I want to ask you about the sale of Fatima Hospital and Roger Williams Medical Center. Last week, we found out that a judge in the bankruptcy case for their current owner has approved the sale to the Centurion Group. What does that mean? Can it move forward as planned?
It's going to move forward as planned, provided that all of our conditions are met. You know, what I hope to do is to take the $50 million that we squeezed out of the private equity firm that owns them, force them to put into an account that I control. We're going to transfer that to these hospitals to give them a chance to get where they need to be. If you contrast that with Massachusetts and Stewart, very similar situation, but taxpayers are paying the money there. In Rhode Island, because of the work that my office did, I'm really proud of our folks. That money's coming from the private equity firm that ruined them in the first place. That's a much better outcome than it could have been, but we have to stay vigilant. And if, not to go back to the president, but if his trumps in the federal Medicaid match, as anticipated, go through, there isn't a healthcare system in Rhode Island that's not going to be in a very, very difficult place.
All right, Rhode Island Attorney General Peter Neronha, that's all the time that we have. Thanks so much.